Hello and welcome to everyone to yet another episode of the FinTech Chroniclers podcast. I'm your host Kamalika, and today we are diving into the crazy story that's been grabbing headlines from the Indian fintech world. PB Fintech's remarkable turnaround. Now, for those of you who don't know, PB Fintech is the parent company of fintech marketplaces Policy Bazaar and Paisa Bazaar. Paisa Bazaar is their marketplace that focuses on lending. You can get information about any kinds of retail products, retail credit products that are there. And Policy Bazaar is something similar for all insurance related schemes that are out there. But if you're a regular here, then that was something you already knew like the back of your hand, considering we're all a little bit geeky about all things fintech. Anyway, just a few months ago, PB Fintech was grappling with a lot of losses. But on May 7th, when they had their quarterly earnings call, they announced something groundbreaking. They reported their first ever quarterly profits. Now, this isn't just a win for PB Fintech. It's a potential game changer for the entire Indian fintech industry itself. Not just for fintech builders who now probably have an example for them to look up to and kind of emulate their journey, but it also is all about bringing back confidence of investors into the fintech space that, yes, there is going to be a good way for them to get value out of the investments that they make in the Indian fintech space. So buckle up because we're going to be analyzing their success story and see what this means for the future of the Indian fintech space and explore how it can pave the way for profitable fintech innovations to come about. Before we get into that, a little bit of an apology because I did mean to have this as a LinkedIn Live, as all of you know. Unfortunately, I ran into some technical glitches and I was also terribly under the weather, so I had to cancel the live. But the game must go on. So I'm just recording it for this week. And if you feel I've missed anything, then just slide into my inbox and we'll have a great conversation there, even if it's just a one-on-one conversation and not the usual community conversation that we're used to on the podcast. Sorry about that. But yes, the way that I was thinking about going about this entire conversation about PB Fintech was to first start off with the highlights of their earning call, then get into their business models, and then talk about why this entire profitability of PB Fintech is a great thing for the fintech industry and what it means for the rest of the industry in general as well. So first, let's start off with the earning call. In the financial year 2024, there was a significant turnaround in their profit after tax, or the PAT, shifting from the last quarter. PB Fintech's total insurance premium for the quarter amounted to about 5,127 crore, making an annualized recurring revenue of close to about 20,000 crore in insurance premium. This growth was primarily driven by expansions in new life and health insurance segments. Additionally, in the fourth quarter, online insurance premiums experienced a 47 year-on-year increase. The company's cash position also saw year-on-year improvement of 259 crores, reaching about 5,263 crore, which attributes to about a 39% year-on-year growth in their revenues. Their overall business premium increased by 37% year-on-year to 15,874 crore. Within this as well, the core online business premium constituted about 11,000 crores, which was a 34% increase year-on-year, and the new initiatives contributed to 4,500 crores over there. The revenue from their Furthermore, in financial year 2024, operating revenues amounted to 2,375 crore rupees, which was a 39% over the same quarter last year. And despite a significant rise in new health insurance premiums, the contribution margin strengthened marginally about 35%. Their adjusted EBITDA, though, rose from 107 crores to 324 crores. And on a percentage basis, that was an improvement from 6 to 14% contribution margin. PB Fintech's lending division, which was Paisa Bazaar, disbursed a loan that totaled to about 14,800 crores. The number of credit cards issued on their platform was 5.8 lakh cards, and 75% of these disbursements on the Paisa Bazaar platform were to their existing customers. So that means the customer acquisition cost has definitely been going down. Policy Bazaar, on the other hand, boasted about 7.73 crore registered customers, of which 1.6 crores were transacting consumers, and they sold about 4.21 crore policies. Paisabazaar saw 4.34 consumers assessing their credit scores and 5 million consumers engaging as transacting consumers. Now that the headline numbers are out of the way, let's jump into the details of their quarter. Their growth has been overall really, really good. And the total premiums that they reported, let's start off with Policybazaar. The total premiums that they reported quarter on quarter, 37%. Their core business, Policybazaar and Paisabazaar, and they overall grew at a 34%, but they also had new initiatives like Partner Bazaar. And we will talk a little bit more about Partner Bazaar towards the end of it, because that grew 46%. Of course, as a contribution to the overall business, because it's a rather new initiative that's there, it's about a third of the size of their portfolio. And given that base effect, maybe that's why it's been growing so much. But that business is still loss-making. They incurred about 3% losses this quarter versus the positive contribution of 45% that came in from their core business. So obviously, customer acquisition is still a big problem for most of their new businesses as well. By the way, their results didn't just have the stock market convinced, but they even managed to convince MSCI. Now, MSCI is an acronym for Morgan Stanley Capital International. It's an investment research firm that provides stock indices, portfolio risk, performance analytics, and governance tools to hedge funds and institutional investors. And they recently removed Paytm and added PB Fintech into their index. Now, what does that mean? There is a prediction that the inflows into PB Fintech will be close to about $238 million in just this year. Anyways, going back to PB Fintech's premium business, which since their listing in 2021, it's been growing over there. And the revenue that PB Fintech makes is basically for every premium that is sold on their platform, every credit that's disbursed on their platform, they get a percentage revenue share from the regulated entity, the financial entity that has disbursed those policies or credit or whatever. So that credit has grown. Overall, it's grown about 43%. New initiative, the revenue that came in from new initiatives grew. The business size of those initiatives grew 50%, while core businesses was just shy about 40%. So definitely the new initiatives are scaling rapidly over there. Now, with that said, I think it's about time to spend a little bit on the businesses of Policybazaar, Paisabazaar, and of course, PB Partner or Partner Bazaar as well. Because until and unless we can actually understand their business model and the products that they're selling, it's going to be hard to understand what this profit after tax means for the fintech industry in general. Let's start off with Policybazaar. And according to Frost & Sullivan, they are the largest online marketplace in India for insurance and lending products. And they leverage the power of technology, data, and innovation. They provide convenient access to insurance, credit, and a plethora of other financial products. Their aim is to create awareness amongst Indian households about the financial impacts of 3Ds: death, disease, and damage. They are very consumer-centric in their approach, where they seek to enable research-based purchase of insurance or credit products, which in turn increases transparency in the long term, will help consumers to make more informed choices. They also facilitate their They also facilitate their insurers and lending partners with the ability to disburse customized financial products by leveraging data, extensive insights from their data, and their analytical capabilities. Now, let's cover a brief history about PB Fintech as well. They launched Policybazaar as their flagship platform back in 2008, and seeing the success that Policybazaar saw, they then launched Paisabazaar 6 years later in 2014. And Policybazaar was launched to respond to consumers' need for more awareness, choice, and transparency, and to create a neutral model for insurance distribution. So far, if you see insurance, which is heavily dominated by LIC or Life Insurance Corporation of India, was very agent-driven, where agents would go door to door. We all remember agents from our childhood. Maybe all of you are just too young and I'm like a dinosaur. But yes, anyways, back in the days, there used to be insurance agents who used to go door to door and tell people that, you know what, take this life insurance, the coverage is X, the premium is Y, you'll get these sort of benefits and whatever. These insurance agents were paid on the basis of the number of insurance policies and the premium of these insurance policies. It often resulted in a lot of mis-selling happening over there. I still remember when I was a kid, my dad was sold a term insurance in a similar fashion, and the first time he was given a bunch of add-ons. Now, my father is someone who's very prudent. He will spend hours and hours going through terms and conditions of those particular policies. And at those point in time, those TNCs used to literally be booklets, thick booklets over there. So the second year around, when the insurance agents came around to collect the insurance premium, my dad went back to his LIC agent and said, "Why have you given me these add-ons? You already sold me a medical insurance, which has this. It also has an accident cover. So do I really need or whatever? What are these top-ups really doing for me?" So really, there was a lot of mis-selling happening. So the concept of having a neutral insurance distribution model, even to date, I think it's very novel. And Policybazaar then became India's largest digital insurance marketplace. And this is as per the DRHP that was filed in July of 2021. I mean, they went public in November 2021. So I'm guessing 6 months before that. Anyways, I'll have to check the exact date. But anyways, back in July 2021, they had 93% of the market share, just based on the number of policies sold. And in the financial year of 2020, 65% of all digital insurance sales in India by volume was transacted through Policybazaar. So by the number of policies and by the volume as well, they were clearly market leaders over there. By the way, it's also very interesting because another insurance platforms, GoDigit, is also listing. In fact, they had a stellar day 2 as of the recording today. And they had also been fined by IRDAI, the agency that's responsible for regulating all platforms and companies related to insurance. But anyway, we won't get into that. That's a conversation for another time. But seeing the massive success that Policybazaar had, 6 years later, PB Fintech were convinced to launch Paisabazaar in 2014 with the goal of transforming how Indians access personal credit. Again, the focus was on ease, convenience, and transparency. And they selected a wide variety of retail lending products like personal loans and credit cards for this. Again, according to Frost and Sullivan, Paisabazaar at that point in time, this was 2020 when the study was done, was India's largest digital consumer credit marketplace with a market share of about 51.4% as of 2020. And then, of course, COVID happened and a lot changed. But yes, Paisabazaar provides some sort of financial literacy too by providing access to retail consumers to their credit scores. And back in 2021, they had approximately 21 million consumers who had accessed their credit scores through their platform. Now, even today, if you see, while there are 4 credit bureaus in India and all lenders have to mandatorily report their current outstanding to these bureaus, on the basis of which these bureaus come up with a credit score. And as per RBI, you as a consumer should be able to pull your credit data, I think, up to 4 times a year for free. You get the entire report for free, but I'll have to check the number of times. Is it once per quarter or is it once semi-annually? I can't remember that. Even then, most people, myself included, find it very cumbersome to go through each of these credit bureaus and pull out our credit data. It's a very tedious sort of a process. But Policybazaar does exactly that for all of us and at scale. And I would highly recommend that all of you go through and check your credit history, your credit scores periodically and flag it off if you're seeing any discrepancy over there. By the way, Paisabazaar as of today has also created a very easy way for you to raise disputes on your credit scores as well. Just a disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by PB Fintech, although I think they should, considering how much I am talking and raving about their products over here. Anyways, moving on. And now, because the way that their business was structured, it was a very applied capital strategy because they don't underwrite any of the insurance and they don't retain the credit risks onto their book. And as per the licenses that they were given, they only act as a direct life and general insurance broker. So that's that. Now let's come to that Policybazaar platform. Coming to the benefits that Policybazaar and Paisabazaar offer to their consumers and their partners. So we'll first start off with Policybazaar, the benefits to consumers. Then we'll talk about the benefits to partners and repeat the same exercise for Paisabazaar as well. So the benefits to consumers. First, consumer-friendly research and a needs-driven platform. So consumers have the ability to research and compare a wide range of insurance products offered by any of the insurance partners on Policybazaar. Consumers can increase their choice and transparency of these different products. And once the consumer is provided with whatever basic details that's out there, they have like multiple options along with the costs and details of these features in a simple to understand manner, not those tedious terms and condition booklets that my dad used to go through when I was a kid. The next advantage is the service responsiveness. Now, an analysis that Frost and Sullivan had done again, the insurance industry, according to them, is a very process heavy industry, which leads to lengthy processing time across different stages in the entire transaction. Whereas with Policy Bazaar, there's a convenient servicing option for consumers thanks to the tech integrations that they have. And finally, convenience of transactions. Every transaction process on Policy Bazaar, as per the promise that they give, is faster and more secure an option for consumers as compared to any of the traditional offline alternatives that are there. They provide numerous options for multiple insurance partners. Consumers don't really need to visit each of those platforms individually and can explore all the options in one place. And they also believe that their end-to-end services, the entire online service end-to-end that they have, reduces the pre-processing time by providing consumers the ability to research and compare products on one platform itself. Now, coming to the benefits that Policy Bazaar has for their insurance partners. One, they get access to high quality consumer base at a lower customer acquisition cost. As the volume of transactions now, because they typically target a lot of the younger consumer cohorts and they have gained extensive data from these consumers, they can build a very good consumer insight, which helps in better risk assessment and underwriting capability with their insurance partners. The tech integration obviously is something that was first of its kind for the insurance industry. Now that's about Policy Bazaar. Let's come to Paisabazaar. Similar to what we did for Policy Bazaar, what are the benefits that Paisabazaar offers to their end consumers? Easy access to credit. They have an algorithm-based technology platform which has access to multiple different credit offers across different lenders, and they promise to give unbiased advice. Well, that's debatable, but yes, that's the promise. Also, Paisabazaar provides access to personal credit products in remote towns and areas. Now, this is an advantage for both consumers and lenders, and we'll come to that in a bit. Finally, they provide access to free credit scores for all Indians. A byproduct of this is that the awareness about credit scores amongst us Indians has gotten better over time. So they, in a way, have also contributed to financial literacy programs around that. Coming specifically to the benefits of Paisabazaar to their lenders or their lending partners, again, reduced acquisition costs. Also, because they have extensive data that they collected on their platform, this helps underwriters, lenders to offer very personalized kind of lending products to their end consumers. Now, that said, let's talk a little bit about the market opportunity that's there for both digital credit as well as digital insurance as well. And for this, I will be going back to the DRHP where they had published back in 2021 market size of different these both insurance as well as credit. So for credit, the inquiry volumes, which is kind of a leading indicator for the appetite for credit amongst Indian consumers. And they've split this into three categories: home loans, personal loans, and credit cards. So in 2020, this was pre-COVID, by the way, or this was right about when COVID hit. So the group that saw one home loan, it saw quarter-on-quarter growth of 133%. Personal loans grew 144% and credit card 189%. Now, bear in mind, this was when, we had like a low interest rate regime that has tapered out now, but you still get a sense of how huge the market was and the potential for the market at that point in time. Even today, by the way, if you see the penetration that we have of adults who have credit card versus the average global adult population in India, back during COVID times, we were about 4%, and that has now jumped up to somewhere around 9%. So COVID did help in doubling it. But that's just 9% of the adult population. Even China, for comparison, even in China, unsecured lending as a percent adult population is a little over 50%. And in the US, I think almost every adult over there has a credit card or something. So there's a huge penetration gap over there. We're highly underpenetrated and highly underserved. Similarly, on the insurance business also, vastly untapped market over there, vastly untapped. And the need for awareness about insurance as a product category itself, it only came in thanks to COVID. And this was a very tragic scene where, we were seeing mass hospitalization happening, and there were people without any insurance cover who very tragically had to die without any treatment. So I think awareness around insurance as a product category too has been lacking. And because of COVID, it did spur a growth in insurance, especially life insurance as well, but general insurance, medical insurance too. So in Q2 of FY22, life insurance grew about 53% and general insurance 47%. But even that is, I think, a vastly underpenetrated market. And there is one thing that we're seeing pick up a lot nowadays is sachet sized insurance. And that's where GoDigit has been playing a huge role. But we'll not talk about that now. Or maybe I should just do another session on GoDigit itself. Anyways, I'm digressing. Now, one of the interesting thing that was mentioned in the earnings call of PB Fintech this quarter was about Partner Bazaar. Now, I found it very intriguing because this was the first time I was hearing about Partner Bazaar, or what was it, PB Partner over there. So PB Partner is basically an enablement platform for more than 1 lakh partners of theirs to help manage insurance sales using technology. PB Partner has a market leadership and has increased their efficiencies year on year. So basically, it's a platform for independent sellers of insurance and other financial products. It enables sellers across products and suppliers via their app. It provides research, insurance, customer management. They do all of this and they've managed to maintain their market leadership in terms of the premiums disbursed as well. By the way, the highest proportion of non-motor business in India does come through PB Partners, and they're also looking to expand their reach in the country. Plus, in addition to this, they also have an entire knowledge bank that they've created, which also provides general information literacy around what these different fintech products do. There were a bunch of other proposals as well. PB Partner also gives you if you're a individual insurance seller on their platform, it also gives you triggers and inputs like when your customer's insurance premium is going to expire, if there's a proposal that you've received which you had not yet responded, and stuff like that for their individual sellers. If, for example, for car loans, for car insurance, you also get additional details about your customers like their registration number, engine number, chassis number, and all of those good stuffs as well. In case a customer wants to cancel their policy, they help with that too. And they also spoke about their PB for businesses or their corporate insurance program. By the way, they also have launched their UAE business, and the premium from their UAE business, which started about 4 years ago, has grown about 6 times. Their focus over there is on the health and life insurance, and they also sell some other financial products like personal loans and car loans. Insurance premium over there grew 6%. And you must keep in mind that UAE happens to be a mature financial market. So that 6% growth is also a huge number when you see in terms of the actual revenue that was generated over there. So, and one more thing to keep in mind is that these numbers are their unaudited financial accounting. Their audited numbers will come out sometime next month, and we may see a little bit of a dip, but I don't, across the portfolio, I don't think it's going to be much. Now, coming to the split across the different portfolios that they have, most of 45%-ish of it goes to health insurance. A small fraction of that also goes to life insurance. Sachet-sized insurance, which is something that they've come out with, was a single-digit contribution over there. So most of it is still from the health and life insurance piece of it as well. A health and life insurance piece only. Okay, so now that brings us to the end of PB Fintech's entire quarterly results. So what really makes me so excited about it? What does this mean for the rest of the fintech industry? For starters, I think this definitely says that fintechs in India do know how to make money. It's no longer just going to be about chasing that unicorn status anymore. So there's going to be a market shift in the way people, founders and fintech builders especially, focus on their business. Priorities are all going to change now because there is a proven model for profitability in fintech. And one thing is that it's definitely going to help. And the one thing that I would focus on is making sure that PB Fintech is able to replicate its success quarter on quarter and in the coming years as well. So while after the earnings call, The earnings call, by the way, happened after market hours. So during the day, there was a slight, I think, 1% dip or something like that. But the minute the results were announced, all of those losses were recovered. And by the next day, they were up about 7%. And 7 days later, I think they're still trading up. But that's besides the point. The point, I think, is going to be that all eyes, all expectations are going to be on PB Fintech's next quarterly report, because that is going to be for the first quarter of the current financial year. And as most of you would know, a lot of tax planning, financial planning typically happens in the first quarter. And we see a lot of rejigs in our financial plans, especially thanks to, a lot of those movements in the tax bracket. So it's going to be very interesting to see if their literacy program, their big bet on improving financial literacy, has paid off for them over there or not. It has, and I think it has. If it has, then we're going to see this momentum in their premium and annualized recurring revenue still going, trading upwards. But if it hasn't, then my bet is that their insurance policies, especially on the general insurance side, is going to see a dip. Why? Because general insurance does not have a policy. They don't have a renewal policy, sorry. It's a reissuance. So if, say, their literacy programs didn't pay off, then people are going to be like, I'm getting no tax benefits out of this. So I don't want my general insurance to be reissued to me. Versus a life insurance, where if you're a customer who's signed the auto mandates, the eNASH mandates that's there, then every year on year, your debits are going to automatically go down. So the premium, I don't think, will go down over there. But yes, we'll have to see a percentage of the consumers of theirs who have on life insurance sign their auto mandates and the reissuance that are happening on the general insurance side over there. So my bets are going to be on the next investor call that we have. And it's going to give us a lot of insights into the consumer behavior and the level of consumer awareness that's there around these financial products in the first place. So that's what's gotten me all excited about this entire PB Fintech's turnaround story from red to the black. And I hope you like this episode. With that said, it brings me to the close of all that I wanted to discuss. And do stay safe, do stay well, and I will see you again next week. Bye-bye.